Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video because I'm going to be talking about my student teaching experience. So I went to the University of South Carolina, Aiken, and it's like a branch off of the main campus of the University of South Carolina. And the way that my university had it split up was from the time you entered your freshman year to your senior year, you were in a classroom. So freshman year, I was in a classroom, in a first grade classroom for probably 3 hours a week. I would just go for like one day and I would sit in there for 3 hours, or it probably wasn't even 3 hours. I was probably only in there for like an hour each morning, but I did that like all semester. I went, and it was really fun. It got my toes a little bit more wet into the waters of teaching, and it really solidified to me that teaching was exactly what I wanted to do. And I knew that they made us do those classes just for the simple fact that you really don't know you want to be a teacher until you get into a classroom and you see it. But I had done teacher cadet previously in high school, so I already knew that like teaching was for me, and I knew teaching was for me ever since I was 5. So I knew that they did that, but it was really good that they did that program because a lot of my classmates were able to see that teaching wasn't for them, so it helped, eliminate that before they got into like the main course of studies. So it was really awesome. So freshman year we did that, same for sophomore year, and sophomore year is when I had to take all of the praxis tests. So I had to take the praxis core math, praxis core ELA, and writing, and I passed praxis core writing and reading, I think it was, like the first time. But math I had to take several times because math just is not my strong suit, and just didn't ever have the right study material. So finally I found the right study book and was able to pass that sophomore year. And then I had to take praxis, I think it's called praxis 1. And that was what I had to take to get into the actual teaching program at my school. And then from there I was able to take all the coursework. So junior year, they called it junior and senior block. So junior block I was able to take classes on literacy, like strategies on how to teach literacy, and there was a couple other, but it just seems like it was so long ago now. I'm missing a ton of classes, but it was mainly methods courses, and they were a lot of literature based classes that I had to take. And then senior block, the fall semester of senior block, I had to do a practicum for a science and social studies methods class, I think. And then your spring semester of senior block is when you did internship. I know a lot of universities flip-flop those, where you do your internship your fall semester and then you do your other coursework your spring semester, but we were the opposite, and I love that it actually went that way because you were able to get like behavior management classes in, you were able to get more method classes in, which really helped in the grand scheme of things with internships. Now into the actual internship. I was placed in a first grade classroom. Just a little side note is I was always in kindergarten or first grade, which was great because I love kindergarten and first grade, but I never saw second grade, I never saw 4-year-old kindergarten, and I never saw third grade. So going into internship, I've never seen any of those grades, so just keep that in mind. My internship cooperating teacher was a teacher that I had for many practicums before, so I already knew her, and I don't know if it was a coincidence or not that I got placed with her, but I did, and I was very, very happy that I did, because initially I had put in to do my internship in the district in which I live, because I don't live where my school was at. I live in a totally different county. So I put in to do my internship in the county that I live, but I didn't get that district because honestly I think it's too far away, and I don't think there was any teachers that would be willing to drive to or from my university to the school district that I actually live in. It was like a 45-minute commute. It was a 45-minute commute from my house to my university, and I didn't really want to do that anymore because I had done that for 2 years already, and I just wasn't, not that I didn't like driving because I love driving, but it was just so long. It took a lot of gas, and I had a really old car at the time. So anyways, I got the cooperating teacher that I got. I was with her the fall semester for an internship, so I was with the kids that I was going to have for internship, which was really great because I was able to really get to know the students and build relationships with them prior to going into internship. So my cooperating teacher was expecting her second child, which meant that she was going to be on maternity leave from mid-December until the end of January into the first week of February. So I knew that I wasn't going to be with her the entire time. Our internship program went from January to the end of April. So from January, I think 3rd, when we came back from the Christmas holidays, so I think it was either January 3rd or 4th, up until like February, I think it was either 1st or 2nd, she came back. But that entire like month and a couple days, I was with a 2nd grade teacher at the same school, which was really great. She was a super awesome, amazing 2nd grade teacher, and I was really stoked to be in 2nd grade. And I ended up really liking 2nd grade, and really considered it as a grade that I would want to teach in the future. The kids in there were really awesome. It was a really great experience. But I didn't get to do a lot of things that I wish that I could have starting out an internship, because all of my cohort friends were either diving already into lessons, but they got to start their internship a lot differently than I did. That entire month, all I did was observe and run errands and laminate things, which was great. And I did get to work with kids one-on-one occasionally, but I really didn't get to do much more than just observe. My cooperating teacher for my 1st grade internship came back the 1st week in February, and I was so excited to get back to her classroom. I was missing my little 1st grade babes, and I was very excited to get back into it and finally jump into my internship. So that 1st week, she came back on a Wednesday, so she taught Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I just observed those days to, you know, help her ease back into it, and just kind of let her get her footing back where it needed to be, since she came back from maternity leave. And then that following week, I took over calendar, which is, you know, in 1st grade, you just go over the date and you do a couple math problems and a couple other things, and then you kind of disperse for the day. So I took that up. And I think that week too, I actually did calendar and I took on math. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember. So that week I took on that, and then the following couple weeks, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks, I took over all the other subjects. The last week before I had my like 2-week takeover time, I took over small group and guided reading groups. And that was really interesting, because I would never took a class or really learned much about small groups, honestly. So I was kind of like, not hesitant, but I just didn't know much about small group. But she was really great at helping me with small group and guiding me through that. And then I had my 2-week takeover, which was so much fun. It was so awesome to be considered the teacher full-time, and it was just amazing. During my 2-week takeover, my cooperating teacher wasn't in the classroom. She was in the school library, and it was kind of crazy at first, and I was really nervous because I was so used to having an extra set of hands and having her there for any questions that may arise during the day. And maybe I didn't know the answer. She was there to help me. But during this 2-week takeover time, she only came in like briefly in the morning to say good morning, and then she would go to the library for the rest of the school day, and that was it. And I was the teacher full time, which was super scary, but you know, I had built my way up to where I needed to be. And she was super awesome with helping me get my lessons together for my 2-week takeover. And it went pretty smoothly. The class that I was with had a couple behavior issues that we never figured out why, because prior to internship, when I was with them for the fall semester, was like a group of angel babies, and they were so awesome. We very rarely had behavior issues, but I don't know, between having her go away on maternity leave, having a long-term sub, and then having me come back and having her come back, I don't know if it was just too much change for the kids or not, but it started a couple behavior issues with a couple kids. But during my 2 weeks, they were very limited. There was a couple occasional behavior issues that took place that were just some crazy instances, but it went really well. During my internship, we had to have 8 observed lessons, so 4 observed from my cooperating teacher and 4 observed from my university supervisor. And my university supervisor is just what it is. It's just a person from the university who comes in occasionally and, you know, observes what you're doing, make sure that you're not doing a horrible job, make sure you're doing what you need to be doing, and just to see how you're teaching. But it went really well, and all of my observations went really well. Yes, small things that, people point out, like, oh, you need to make sure you're assessing more, make sure that all of your students are following along and that they are actually understanding throughout your entire lesson. It was small things like that that I ended up working on, and I felt like I got better throughout internship. During my internship, we had to do lesson plans, obviously, but prior to the 2-week takeover, any lessons that I taught didn't have to be through the university lesson plan template, which was a blessing because those templates are way too detailed and it took way too long to do lessons that way. But you could just use your cooperating teacher's lesson plan template, which was great because all the template that she had was just, Monday through Friday. It had her small groups on there. It had the standard that you were covering, the procedures that you were using, and any assessments, and that was it. It was like all you really needed to know about a lesson, and it didn't really take that much time. And then during my 2-week takeover, I had to follow the university template. So then I was writing 4 lesson plans a day for 2 weeks, which ended up being like 56 lesson plans or whatever, which was crazy. It took a lot of time, but I'm really actually grateful that we had to write in those template forms, because it really got me thinking about what goes into the lesson. It really got me conscious of, why am I actually pulling this activity? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? How am I going to differentiate for this group? How am I going to differentiate for that group? And it really gets your brain thinking, which I'm so grateful for that I actually had to do it that way. I was not grateful for it during that time because they were just so detailed. But I'm grateful for it now and I understand. So after my 2-week takeover, I gradually was giving subjects back. So I started giving like small group back, and it got to the point where my cooperating teacher was teaching full time again, and she was so excited because she came from maternity leave to doing really nothing again. And I'm sure she was very excited to be back in her own classroom teaching again. There was a week span where I was just observing and running errands again and helping out with the kids as needed. But during that time, I was able to go visit those grades I mentioned earlier that I'd never seen before. Because obviously when you're going to go into job searching, there may not be first grade positions available, so you don't want to just have your mindset on one grade, which is what I did for the longest time. I was like, I'm only going to teach, first grade or kindergarten. That's all I'm ever going to teach. But as you'll see, it didn't work out that way. So I went and visited the 4-year-old kindergarten. I loved it. I really did. And then I went to 3rd grade. I didn't go back to 2nd grade because I'd already been with 2nd grade for a month. Really loved 2nd, so I really wanted to spend my time getting to know the grades that I wasn't in. So I went to 4-year-old kindergarten, and 3rd grade. I'm going to talk about 3rd grade because obviously I'm a 3rd grade teacher, and being that I've never seen 3rd grade other than this little once observation, I was really thankful that I had that opportunity. So I spent about 30 minutes in that 3rd grade classroom, maybe 30 to 45 minutes. It wasn't very long. So I got to see how she did her whole group instruction, how she took them off into their small groups, and they were doing text-dependent analysis that day, which really freaked me out because obviously 1st grade doesn't really do text-dependent analysis. Or at least in this 1st grade class I was in, we didn't do it. So that kind of intimidated me a little bit. The kids were a lot bigger than I was used to, but they still had that sweetness about them. And this was at the end of 3rd grade, so these kids were getting ready to go to 4th grade, so they were a lot bigger than they probably were in the beginning of the year. But I really liked how the teacher could give them instructions, and they went off on their own and they did it. And they didn't ask a million questions. They didn't need to be redirected a million times. I love that. And so that was really great to see. And then from there, my internship was over, and I was really sad. My very last day of internship was very emotional. I knew that I was going to miss these kids so much, and being that I had spent so much time with my cooperating teacher, I was going to miss having her friendship. And being that I didn't live in Aiken made it even worse because I was like, I'll probably never see these people again, and it made me so sad. The very last day I came in, I was doing the morning attendance, getting everything together, checking their morning work, and my cooperating teacher came in and she had a little gift basket for me, and it had the Gary Wong, I think that's the author, the Gary Wong first year teacher book in it. Had LuLaRoe leggings because she knows that I'm obsessed with LuLaRoe, you know, pens and little things like that. And then inside was a little booklet from the kids, and it had little letters that they wrote, you know, saying their goodbyes and saying how much they loved me and how much they were so appreciative to have me there for them. I was handing out their little bubbles, and I just like kind of got a little emotional. I like couldn't hold it back. I'm a very emotional person anyways, but I got a little teary-eyed, and you know, my kids were emotional on top of that, and it just really hit me that you really don't know how much of an impact you make on kids until something like that happens. And you know, I had little moments like that throughout my internship where kids were so grateful and they said, thank you for helping me, Miss Gladden, and all of this, and but you really just don't know how much of an impact you make until it's your last day with them and they're explaining to you how much they love you and how much they're gonna miss you. And goodness, thinking about it makes me emotional. And even the kiddos who acted sometimes that they really just don't care about your feelings were the ones telling me that they love me and that they're gonna miss me. But all in all, my internship experience was really great. If I had to go back and do it again, I would do it a million times over. And I just feel so grateful that I had such a great experience, because some of these student teaching videos I've watched, some of you guys have had some really traumatic experiences, but mine was really great. I learned a ton, and I'm super excited to start my 3rd grade journey. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and press the red subscribe button. Make sure you never miss out on a video. Give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.